Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're having a great day, wherever you are in the world. I am very fortunate to be sat here in Mexico. We are in Tulum right now, on the Maya coastline in southeast Mexico. I'm here with my friend Jan.
Hey, Olly.
Jan from Jan van Daar, of course, from Language Boost, a great new language company making lots of cool products. Yeah, it's very, very hot right now. It must be about 40 degrees, well, maybe not 40, 35 degrees. We are sitting under the shade of about 50 palm trees, which is really, really cool. And what we thought we'd do today is talk a little bit about the video series that we are creating, and specifically how to make good travel videos. Obviously, like the videos that we are making right now are for a YouTube audience, but actually, even if you're shooting little videos to send home to your friends or to your family when you're abroad, these tips we're going to give you are going to help you make them much, much more engaging and interesting for the people that you send videos to. What do you think, Jan? Does that sound like an interesting topic for today?
Yeah, so let's start.
Yeah, let's start. So, I've broken this down into 7 different parts, and so we're going to go through these one by one, and each of these will hopefully help you to make better travel videos wherever you are, or even if you're not traveling, if you're at home, make better videos to actually send to people. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the importance of story, because to my mind, most people, when they make travel videos, they get it wrong by showing you, instead of actually talking about what you're doing, you show people the places that you are. So, Jan, talk about the story, why it's important, and what people get wrong.
Yeah, so exactly what people don't want to just see a beach or a nice landmark, but what people want to see is people want to follow a story. So storytelling is super important. Another very important thing is, I think, to talk to the camera. Many people are afraid to talk on a stage in front of an audience, or even to talk in the camera. But this is actually, I think this is very important. This is what really can create a connection between you and the audience.
I guess if you don't talk to the camera, then for the person that's watching at home, they don't feel like they're there with you, right? They may as well just be watching TV or something. Yeah. But when they see you, when they're kind of talking, when they see you talking to the camera, they're going to feel much more like they're there with you.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We are human beings. We are social, and whenever we see a face, we feel more connected. And especially if you have a pretty face, for example, that's why all those big YouTube channels are often handsome and pretty boys and girls. But yeah, what's the most important is that you actually show your face and that you talk to the audience as if it was your friends. That's at least the goal. That's what I always try to remember when I talk in the camera. I always try to imagine talking to a friend. I think this is what creates a connection. And if you combine this with good storytelling, yeah, then you have good potential.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about this storytelling then, because I guess what most people do is they go to a beach and they take a picture of the beach, and they go to the restaurant and they film their food. But is that what we should be doing?
So people like to follow stories. I don't know why that is, but it works. Like, if you look on YouTube, like the biggest YouTubers, or not only on YouTube, also in blogging, like the people who are really successful are the people who are really good at storytelling. So therefore, I think it's important to, instead of just randomly start recording footage, is actually that every time where you record something, before you do that, you just think by yourself, okay, what am I going to tell now, and how does that fit in the story that I want to tell today?
And I guess what you're talking about here is actually showing the journey as well as the destination, right? So in our videos, we'll show you like us sitting on the bus, or walking to the bus, or walking from the bus to the beach, or whatever. Yeah. We're actually showing you the story of the day and how it unfolds. Mm-hmm. Because that's the only way that someone who's watching is going to feel like they are there with you and feel... Yeah. Because traveling is about the journey as well, isn't it? It's about as much about the small things that you do as the destination. And if the only thing that traveling was was the destination, it wouldn't be any fun if you could just magically teleport to a beach.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what makes traveling interesting is the journey getting there and all the people that you meet along the way.
Exactly. A few days ago, I saw that there was someone who commented on on one of our videos, and he said, "I have the feeling that I'm traveling with you." And then I thought, yes, this is exactly the feeling that we want to create. That someone is traveling. That people are joining us in this trip and that they really feel connected to what we do. Another thing which is really important, I think, is to talk about your emotions. So not say, okay, we just woke up, it's 9 o'clock and now we go to the beach.
Well, you do say that, though.
I do. Okay, well, then maybe I should look back in the videos and improve that. I think it's good to mention those things, but you should also talk about your feelings. I think this makes it something human and makes it interesting for people to...
Can you give us an example of what you might say?
Yeah, for example, like when we started this podcast today, say, hey, we are sitting here, it's really hot. I'm really excited about this. Also at the beach, we feel really, I don't know what we said yesterday, but it was kind of windy. I think you said in yesterday's video that Tulum feels really good and you almost start feeling home. And I think this way people do not just... I don't know. We can touch them emotionally. They can feel the video. I think.
Yeah, because if you're traveling, if you're traveling with somebody, you talk about your feelings. Don't you? You say, "Oh, this is great," or "This is not great,"
exactly.
because this and because that. Yeah, so
that's what you naturally say. But often on camera, you don't say those things because you think it's stupid. But actually, it's not.
Yeah, it happens to all of us. As soon as you turn on the camera, you become a different person. And I think the challenge is how do you remain the same person whilst on camera. So that's the importance of story. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is this process we've developed at the beginning of the day. Because what we used to do was just shoot a bunch of clips and then at the end of the day throw them all together. But we've developed this process now that we go through at the start of every day that I think helps us to not only make better videos, but spend a lot less time doing it.
Yeah, so what we do now is that when in the morning, we think about, okay, what are we going to do today and what is the story that we can share? If, for example, yesterday's video for example, we didn't get too much Spanish practice in yesterday's video, we have to think about, okay, how can we improve that? How can we connect to the people? And what's the story that we're going to share today? And then instead of just randomly recording video, you actually very specifically choose what you want to record, and I think that's much better if you want to tell a story.
Yeah, and also, if you're away for a few days or a couple of weeks, then your videos very quickly get boring if all you do is show, hey, we're at a beach, and hey, we're in these ruins, and I don't know what. So we start the day trying to think of a specific angle to talk about, whether it's like, okay, today what we're trying to do is get to this place. Let's see how we can get there. Or today, we really want to find ways of practicing more Spanish. And then we make the video about that. Yeah. And by deciding that at the beginning of the day, it means that we're much more selective about the kind of things that we film. The stuff that we film during the day then supports the story that we want to tell.
Yeah. I think doing this keeps the video interesting. It's like bigger variety of topics. Another thing that you can do is not only share the best moments, also share your struggles. It's something people can relate to, and it also keeps it more exciting because they don't know what to expect. Okay, they see this thumbnail and they're going to click on the video, but they don't know they don't know what's going to happen. Keep it exciting. Keep it
spontaneous.
Spontaneous. Yeah.
Well. All right, so let's talk about equipment because I guess, Jan, we are here with a film crew, right? We have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of film equipment and cameras and lights and a team of people following us around. That's how we make our videos, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the truth is that we don't actually have all this stuff. In fact, we shoot most of our footage with our iPhones. So does quality matter? Look at the proof. Look at what's working for other people. I think most of successful YouTube channels, those people, they just use either their iPhones or maybe a small camera. You really don't need. It's about the content, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of quality, iPhones these days the quality is amazing. I mean, if you go and look at our videos, any one of our videos, and every single shot that you see will be filmed with an iPhone, pretty much. certainly in the second half, because Jan's camera broke yesterday. So,
Yeah.
so it means he was using a small little compact camera, but that something went wrong with that. So we're going to be doing everything else on iPhones, and it just the important point is that people don't. I mean, they don't care about the quality as long as you've got a reasonable quality where you can see things clearly, which now on any phone you have. As long as you've got that, like. People, what they're paying attention to is the content of the videos, the stuff that you're saying.
The story, huh?
The story. So you really don't need any particular special equipment. The camera on your phone is just fine. But the thing that can be more important is audio, right?
I think that's it. Yeah, exactly. So a few days ago we had this Spanish conversation with this girl in a bar, and it was really loud. And when we were editing the video, we actually found out that the content was not very useful. I mean, we could still use it as B-roll, but so therefore it's buying like an external a clip-on mic, or how do you call that thing? I think it's really useful if you want to record conversations in places where it's noisy or windy. I think many people forget that sound is sometimes even more important than the quality of the video.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Sound is more important than the quality of the video in many ways. I mean, for many people this won't be such an issue, but if you want to make good quality videos, especially for YouTube or something, then you need to think about sound. I mean, I don't think we've actually used a clip-on mic yet, or maybe we used it once. But anytime that you've got background noise, your kind of iPhone mic is not going to be good enough. Or if you're further away than a couple of meters from the thing you're listening to, it won't be good enough. So, I mean, one of the things that we did in the video on day 4, was it day 5? Day 5 is that Jan filmed me speaking Spanish with someone here in the hotel. And he was standing like 5 or 6 meters away filming from a distance. And so what I did is I got my iPhone and I used the voice recorder app so I set the voice recorder app to record, and I put the iPhone on the table in between me and the person that I was talking to, whilst Jan was filming from a distance. And then we had to just sync the audio with the video later. And that meant that in that clip where I'm speaking with the girl in Spanish, the audio was really good and really, really clear. And so that means that it's actually nice to watch, because if you couldn't hear the audio, there's no point watching it. So audio I think is one of the most difficult things about making good videos, but it's definitely worth doing it. Now let's talk about how to edit, because this is by far the most time-consuming thing. Recording the videos themselves doesn't really take that long. You just get your phone out and press record, but actually editing is difficult. So I think Jan is better at editing than I am. I mean, I've certainly improved. I guess the other thing to say is that neither of us are saying that we make the best travel videos at all. We just, we are probably mediocre at best, but we do have the advantage of having edited hundreds of videos and kind of learnt those lessons. And so, Jan, what do you do when you sit down to edit a video like the ones we're doing here, when we've got like dozens of clips, a whole day's worth of stuff? I mean, you can edit a video in about 2 hours, right? Yeah. It takes you about 2 hours. What do those 2 hours look like?
Okay, well, first I have to mention that it's also very important to record, to have this story in your mind and to only record the things that you want to have in your story. If you don't do that, if you just start randomly shooting stuff, then it's going to be very time consuming to edit, because you need to cut down, right? So I think...
And you also might not even have the stuff that you need to tell the story later. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing is be selective about what you want to have in your story. That saves you lots of time during the editing. Then the first thing I do is that I import all the video files onto my timeline together with the audio. I sync the audio.
What software do you use?
So on my MacBook I do use ScreenFlow. ScreenFlow, it's called, for Mac. When I had a Windows computer, I used Pinnacle Pro. I found that software very easy to use, and you do have enough functions to make a professional video. Any other recommendations for software?
I mean, I use ScreenFlow as well. It's like it's pretty cheap. It's like under $100, but it's very, very powerful and easy to use. Yeah. You have lots of other stuff, but you can use like iMovie. If you have a Mac, you can just use the free iMovie software. Yeah. And if you have a PC, I think was it Windows Movie Maker or something like that.
Yeah, that one is very limited.
But you can make a good video. You can edit the stuff, and you can.
Yeah, if you are a beginner and you just want to get started, I would say buy a cheap camera or use your iPhone, buy a clip-on microphone, and just a standard editor on your laptop. You don't need. Can do this with a very limited investment. Just get started, and then if people actually like your videos, then maybe you can consider to upgrade your equipment to buy a better camera. Maybe do some investigation about what kind of software can be even better for you. But
yeah, but I mean, just to give people we're getting a bit distracted here, but just to give people an idea of like all of my videos are made with three things. Number one is my iPhone. Number two is a clip-on mic. It's a Rode Lavalier mic, which costs about
$80.
I think it's less, like $60 or something. It's cheap. And I use ScreenFlow to edit, which costs under $100. So really, it's for the price of one meal for two in a nice restaurant. You can have a fully professional video setup. But going back to the editing, so you start by selecting the clips that you want to use?
Yeah, so first I put all the clips that I showed on my timeline, and then I watch the clips and I start cutting them. So normally, whenever you have a 10-second video clip, you're only gonna need 4 or 5 seconds. So it's not like cutting all the content that I have. Then I remove the clips which I think are not gonna be very useful. I put everything in the right order, in the order of the story, depending on how I want to tell the story, and then I start adding music. I guess that's a lot.
Yeah. So what I found interesting about what you just said is that the first thing you do is you arrange the clips in an order that tells the story that you want to tell. Mm-hmm. That's before you start cutting anything or whatever. You just put the clips in order. Yeah. You tell the story first. Yeah. And then at that point, do you start cutting the clips down and trying to reduce the length? I mean, do you start doing? Is that the next step?
Yeah. So. Yeah, I would say that's the next step. So first I put everything in the right order, then I cut everything down. I think the step after that is adding transitions. And you can also do this by music. So for example, if a new section of your video is going to start, you start a new song, for example. I have to say, I do not really have a fixed order in which I do everything. This is more or less, if I have an order, then this is more or less it. But it's not fixed. So there is a lot of, it's like, making a good pizza, for example. You keep improving it and you keep adding ingredients and it's like
you mold it as you go.
Mold it, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of to give you an idea of the size of the task for editing a video like this, I think if you look at it in a kind of 80-20 way, then 20% of my time is spent kind of quite quickly getting the clips in order. Yeah. And telling the story. Yeah. And that's a fairly quick process, but then 80% of the time, the vast majority of the time, is spent actually doing the fine-tuning. So it's adjusting the length of each individual clip, dragging and dropping all the clips into the right place.
Finding audio that fits also takes time.
Right, finding audio. We download... YouTube have some royalty-free music you can download, and
it's called YouTube Audio Library. If you Google for that, then
YouTube Audio Library, yeah. But the vast majority of the editing time is spent on the very small details. Actually, it's making the clips the right length, and then also what I always find is that I think I'm finished with the video. And then I'll watch it back and I'll think to myself, okay, that section was too long. Yeah. Let's delete a few clips, or you're always kind of refining it down. Yeah. And yet, I mean, yesterday, and you started with 16, 17 minutes of footage?
Cut it down to 5.5.
Yeah, so you cut out 2/3 of the stuff that you make.
Even though we were very selective to shoot footage, to choose the footage that we wanted to shoot.
It's just like writing a good blog post. I often will have, say, 2,000 words written, and that will end up in the final version after editing being less than 1,000 or something, because you start off with broad brushstrokes and then gradually refine everything as you go. And then so any other last kind of tips that you give to people about making good videos? I guess we're talking really now about the most important things that anybody can do.
Yeah, I would say if you want to start making videos like we do, don't go to the shop and buy equipment for thousands of euros, but instead use the materials that you have, use the phone you have, buy a clip-on mic, that's always a good investment, and look for software that's already on your laptop. Get started, make sure that you film yourself as well, that you tell a story, that you share your emotions, and then get feedback from the people. Ask them what they think. If they find it interesting, ask them for ways you can improve.
Also, send the video to a friend once it's done and ask them, hey, what did you give me some honest feedback on this? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll just put it on YouTube. Maybe you might not have an audience yet, but you can also ask in your video for feedback. And followers are always a few followers who are very happy to give feedback, and then learn on the way. Just get started. It's with anything else.
Yeah, and one of the things that I often do is actually watch other people's videos and just observe how they are making their videos and try to learn from that myself. Like one of the best educations is simply just watching other people's videos. So,
one last tip. Of course, I hope that you learned things from this podcast, but there are also people who are much better at video editing than we are. Go to YouTube and search for how to make a travel video. I also got some really good tips from these kind of videos.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. So I hope that was useful. That's given you some ideas about, even if you just take one of these ideas and think about it next time you make a video, hopefully that will help you make more engaging videos, whether you are putting them on YouTube or whether you are sending them to your friends or family back home. They will certainly appreciate it. Now, what we're going to do is put a link to everything we've talked about. We've mentioned a lot of equipment here. We've mentioned some software. And we're going to put a link to all of that in the show notes. So if you'd like to see all of the equipment that we use, I'll put links to all of it, probably to link to it on Amazon, so you can find it quickly. To see that, go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 197. That's iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 197. And you will find a link to all of that stuff that we've mentioned here. I mean, it's really crazy these days. For very little money, you can have a great set of equipment for making professional quality videos. So we're living in exciting times. So I hope that was useful for you, and I'll see you back in the next episode of the podcast.
Bye-bye, and greetings from Mexico.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, and in case you didn't already know, I teach languages in a rather unusual way through stories. Now, stories are a great way to learn a new language because when you're engrossed in a story, you remember things more easily, and the mechanics of the language just start clicking inside your brain. It's quite something, and if you'd like to find out how you can learn a new language or improve your skills in a language that you already know and do it with the power of stories, then you should check out my free Story Learning Kit, which will teach you exactly how this method works and how you can use it yourself to learn a new language. Visit storylearning.com/podkit, that's PODKIT, to get free access. Inside, you'll find explanatory videos, masterclasses, worksheets, short stories to practice with, and much, much more. Once again, that is storylearning.com/podkit, PODKIT, and if you're lucky, you might also find a link in the podcast description or show notes of this episode.